Quitting your six-figure income to become a full-time YouTuber. That's exactly what Rob from Rob Built did, and I can't wait for you to hear this entire episode. Hey, welcome to the YouTube Made Simple show. My name is Heather Torres, author of the upcoming book, YouTube Made Simple, and host of this show right here on YouTube. So if you are interested in hearing conversations with YouTubers who made it simple and figured out a way to become full-time at this, then make sure you subscribe to this show. We're going to jump into today's interview with Rob Builds. Now, Rob was on a previous episode, but let me give you a little introduction. Rob started his YouTube channel in March of 2020. He had been doing short-term rentals, Airbnbs on the side of his six-figure income. He actually was able to grow his side business, his YouTube channel, as well as his real estate portfolio, and he recently quit his job to become a full-time content creator and real estate investor. This is so cool, and I can't wait for you to jump into this episode where we talk about how he did it, how he decided to move into this season, and how he was able to grow his YouTube channel to over 125,000 subscribers in just over a year. This is a great episode that you want to be locked into, so let's jump into today's conversation. Welcome back to the YouTube Made Simple show. My name is Heather Torres and I'm your host, and I'm excited because I'm joined by Rob from Rob Build over on YouTube. We're in a two-part series talking all about how he went full-time on YouTube. Last week's episode was all about his 5 pieces of advice for new YouTubers. And today we're talking about how he took the plunge and went all out and all in on YouTube. So Rob, welcome to the show.
Hi. Oh my gosh. Long time no see.
I know. We're actually recording this just back to back. I didn't change my shirt. That's like YouTube
People have to
101,
know
Rob.
that.
Oh,
Oh,
man.
no.
Usually I have like a stack of outfits where I just change from a black shirt to a white shirt to a gray shirt. It's my color palette for everything. And they get black on black today. So that's what they get.
Well, I just want to say I'm glad that you got the memo. Black long sleeve, so matching. Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah. I sent Rob a text first and I was like, please make sure that we're matching on camera today. And he said, okay, no. So Rob, for the people who don't know you yet, tell us about your journey of how you got started and what you're doing on YouTube.
Yes. So my name is Rob and I have a channel called Rob Built, Robuilt. A lot of people think it's Robuilt. It's not. It's Rob Built. Like my name, Rob, built something. And I've been a YouTuber now for, I guess, about 20 months now, going on 20, 21 months, somewhere in there. And I was a full-time copywriter for 8-9 years and just spent like any word that you ever saw in ads. I wrote scripts. I wrote tweets for car companies, for alcohol companies, for sports drinks companies. So I was very involved in the world of marketing before I ever started a YouTube channel, which definitely like helped me out a little bit in terms of critiquing my own work and self-awareness and everything like that. But yeah, in the 20 months that I've been a YouTuber, I've gone from 0 to about 120,000 subscribers. And, you know, it's really cool that I get to say that YouTube is my job. It's one of my jobs, but it's my favorite job.
Yeah. And we're going to dive into that because a lot of times people think that full-time YouTubers means that actually the only thing you're doing is YouTube. And that's such a misconception that I want to debunk on the show today. But let's go ahead and take it back a little bit. You just mentioned you were working a full-time job while you were building your YouTube channel. Talk about what that looked like. How many hours were you working? What was that? What did it take to build to be able to go full-time?
Yeah, I mean, I started my channel in January of 2020, and that was when my daughter was born. She was born in mid-January. So I chose the perfect time to get started when I was so busy having a newborn. But I did that for, I would say, 6 months. And really, I mean, it came at a time during the pandemic, and that was kind of when coronavirus was obviously like in its initial stages. So we were working from home, and I really just got to like I had to make the best of that situation, which was really tough on a lot of people. And not being able to work, going into the office, like losing the structure, that was a really, really tough thing for me because I'm an ADHD. And so not having any kind of formal organization and just being left to my own like like schedules and routine. Not a good thing for me. But I think I really found that when I had a lot more time at home, because we weren't really working like at the very beginning of like the pandemic, we weren't working like full on 40-hour weeks just because everyone was trying to figure out how to deal with kids and,
Mhm.
daycare and all that kind of stuff. So we all got a little bit of a pass at the beginning. And so I took that extra time I had and I just completely put it in YouTube. And I was like, editing, like my 15-minute videos would take me about 20 hours to edit, 16 to 20, somewhere in there. And that was on iMovie. I mean, iMovie is a relatively simple, like a program, but for me, it was just hard. Like I'm not an editor. And so I was just doing that like nonstop every week. I was trying to do like 2 videos a week, and that wasn't gonna happen. And, just really through doing that, like I got really serious as like, I would spend so much time just even outside of content creation, literally just watching YouTube. Like, I stopped like, the death of TV to me was when I started my YouTube channel because I
Mhm.
just found that I liked consuming YouTube content, which arguably is work too, like, as much as I enjoy watching YouTube content, really, I was studying YouTube content for a very, very long time, and so it was pretty tough. I mean, I think that my job, like, the people at my job were very supportive, and I already had the side business of Airbnb at the time, and, like, I would always get asked questions at work like, why are you still work? Like, that this doesn't make sense. Don't you make a lot of money on Airbnb and this and that?" And I'd be like, "Well, I make okay money, but I reinvest it." And then YouTube happened, and
Mhm.
they were like, why is Rob always late to meetings? Or why did Rob miss this meeting? Or why haven't we gotten this headline from him or whatever?" But I had a really good rapport. I had been there for 4 years, and so, my bosses were great, and they were just like, "It's all good. Everyone gets a pass in this time." And so I just spent like I as my YouTube career really started to take off and my subscribers started growing, it was like almost like we didn't really talk about it at work, but people would check in and be like, "Yeah, I saw that. That's like crazy." And I tried not to talk about YouTube at work as much as I could, just because, I mean, it was always like in meeting settings or like on group calls, and I just don't want to like talk about it, and like
Mhm.
I don't want people to know how serious I was about YouTube and how much time I was putting into it, because I didn't want 'em to know that that was the reason that I was sucking at my job, you know? And so I would, like, anytime someone would ask them about YouTube, I'd be like, "Hey, whatever happened to that, dog you got?" Or whatever. So it really all started to kind of really ramp up during the pandemic, and, I'm very thankful for that. I again, it's a tough time, but for me, I just wanted to really try to find a silver lining, and my silver lining was I got to start a YouTube channel. My daughter came right around that time, and it was just my time to really be around family and be a YouTuber and still get paid at my job and not get fired. And it worked out. So, I did that I quit like 5 months ago, in back in March.
Amazing. So all of that started really because you had acquired a skill. And I think a lot of times people that are coming to YouTube, if they're just coming and they don't quite know yet what they want to do or what their channel should be about, I think there's a harder learning curve. But you were already in the Airbnb space. I mean, you had built this tiny home in your backyard, you were house hacking. I know this because I'm a fan of the Raw Bill show or channel.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I know that you were already in a skill and you just started by answering questions and showing people what you were doing and helping people understand what Airbnb was. But you weren't doing this, between the 9 to 5. Some of your videos you were recording at like 1 a.m. after your daughter had gone to sleep. And so talk a little bit about the hustle that had to go into being able to quit your job within a 20-month period of time of starting YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, that's definitely something that I think, you know, like one 15-minute video, I guess, like, honestly, this I've always heard this stat, and now vocalizing this, it makes a lot of sense, but, like, one 15-minute video is generally anywhere from 14 to 20 hours of editing
Mhm.
time. That's what the professional editor, like, I have a full-time editor that works for me now, and he's a good friend. He's a friend before an editor. Caleb, if you're watching this, you're the best. But, like, a lot of time goes into that, not just the 15 hours that goes into editing it, but also, like, the 2 or 3 hours or 4 hours that it takes me to record it. And yeah, like most of my videos, I thought when I became a full-time YouTuber, you know, I was like, oh, I'm going to be full time. I'm going to be recording content at like noon on Monday. On Tuesday, maybe I'll crank out half a video. On Wednesday, I'll do another half. I'm going to be so ahead of things. Maybe I'll do 2 videos a week. No, that is not how that works at all. Most of my videos get recorded around midnight. Like the last video that I recorded, I ended at 2 a.m. Not because I want that. It's like the worst time to do that kind of thing. But for me, like it just with all the different businesses that have kind of come to fruition because of YouTube and because of how my lifestyle has changed, like it is the only time that I have to do it. And generally speaking, I would never do anything work wise at that time. But I love YouTube so much. I love what it's done for me that, like I'm willing to put in that work. And a lot of people see a 15-minute video, but they don't really understand that like it can be dozens of hours sometimes. For like I released a 40-minute video a couple months ago. Man, just to review that is like an hour just to like watch it through, right? Because I stop and then I think about it and I might write a comment, but like it takes a lot of time. So thankfully for me, I really love YouTube, and it's really created a lifestyle for me and my family that I'm very thankful for. Because while I make money on YouTube, it really feeds into like all of the other things that I have going on in my life from a financial standpoint.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about that because that is such the tip of the iceberg, right? YouTube is really the casting the net out and then bringing in the fish. And this is all the businesses of the opportunity that comes being consistent on the platform. Here at Think Media, we teach that you should be at a certain threshold before you decide to go all in on YouTube. And you were smart by building multiple streams of income. It's not like you were just reliant on the AdSense. But what was the threshold for you and your wife to really say, no, I'm ready to quit my full-time 6-figure job to make this a reality over on YouTube?
Yeah, totally. So I guess just to like provide some context, my salary as a senior copywriter at my agency was $110,000, and my wife's salary was 80,000. No, like 75. Total, we made 185. Math is not my strong suit, but 185 was like our total. And because of what YouTube created for me and the way it just like propelled my financial situation and just like the support that I got from people, I decided to do this crazy thing and leave my comfortable house in LA and move to the middle of Tennessee in Gatlinburg. We bought 50 acres. We bought a house, and I was like, I'm going to build a tiny house village. And, it was a really big bet that we took. And in order to do that, my wife was going to have to leave her job because she's a teacher. And, that I always like appreciate that she was willing to do that for us because like, she was like, follow your dreams, let's do it. And she supported me. And now we lived out here. So it was actually fully my intention when I moved out here to move out here in like December and then go back to LA and work like in June or July. That was always my intention. And that's what I told my company. I was like, hey, I'm moving to Tennessee. I'll be back in July. And they're like, great, sounds good. That sounds really cool. Good for you. And when I got here, I just really, I started to math out how having a $185,000 lifestyle was actually holding me back financially in some pretty significant ways. Because like, that's a good salary. Like that's a good living. That was the first time my wife and I were like, we did it. Like,
Yep.
we're not broke anymore, And we lived in California. So obviously it's not like as good as other places, but for us, we were just like, this is awesome. Let's go eat sushi. Right.
Yes.
And that comfortable lifestyle was very difficult to leave because we had full-time health insurance. We had like benefits, 401k. And really, I just kind of had this moment in like, it was just, there were several moments, but there was this one week where I spoke to like 3 or 4 different people, a couple of different YouTubers, a couple of different friends who are entrepreneurs of companies. And they were just like, we were Zooming and they're like, hey, why do you still work, by the way? And I was like, what do you mean? They're like, I know how much you make on YouTube. I know how much you make on Airbnb. Like, I don't understand. Why do you still work a 9 to 5? And I was just like, I don't know, because I'm scared. But like those conversations really had an impact on me because it was the first time that someone really kind of just frankly asked me that. And it happened to all be in the same week. And I also saw a couple of YouTube videos, funny enough, about just like the value of time. And I was consuming a lot of like millionaire content too, just because like I like productivity and like personal development. And so there was like these like different channels that were like, here's how I made $1 million. I cut out this, I cut out this, I cut out this. And I just got served up the perfect content on YouTube that week where I was like, huh, that makes a lot of sense. And it happened to be like in that week or the week after, I had those Zoom conversations with different people. And so I just really sat down and I wrote all the
Mm.
different scenarios. What would happen if I quit my job? Worst case scenario, here's how much I'm going to make. Middle scenario, here's how much I'll make. Best case scenario, here's how much I'm going to make. And when I looked at the numbers for all of those, I was like, oh my God, every single one of these scenarios are significantly more than what I make now.
Mm-hmm.
And funny enough, I actually just mathed this out and I'm actually at 3 times the best scenario for this year. And it's because I was able to quit my job and really focus on putting a lot of time into all my different businesses. So what's the threshold? I mean, I talk about this actually in my upcoming video, which is probably out by the time anyone's watching this, but it's like when my honest thoughts about quitting your 9 to 5 job.
Mm-hmm.
And I personally think it should be, you should consider it once you're either making, you should be making a little bit more than you were at your current job.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're 1099 and you're going to have bigger tax implications there. So you have to kind of compensate that, or you should quit your job whenever the side hustle that you have literally cannot grow anymore without you putting more time into it. And that's
Mm-hmm.
where I was at. You know, I was like, I had Airbnb, I had consultations, I had a consultation service that I started as a result and of my YouTube channel. And because like I could literally not spend any more time on those, I was like landlocked in a sense. And so I was like, all right, the only way I can grow these businesses is by quitting my 9 to 5. So I did that. And that was very scary for me. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I cried. I like cried like a baby to my bosses. I set up a Zoom. I was like, can y'all talk? And they're like, what's up? And I was like, you know, and they were like, what's wrong? And I was like, I think I have to quit. And they're like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, thank God. Like you're okay. Yeah. Yeah, you probably do. You should have quit a long time ago. Like that was like kind of the sentiment that was in there. Cause my boss was like, are you gonna be like okay? Like financially? And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be so fine. And they're like, all right, then what's the big deal? Like, I don't know. I'm scared to lose the security.
Mm.
But it was a tough, it wasn't an easy decision for me, even though I was already making like a lot more money. Like I started a consultation service. I just got so many DMs and emails every day that I was like, well, maybe I should just like do a one-on-one with people. And I started out charging like 150 an hour. And I was booked. Like it started off as like 1 or 2 every single week. And then I charged 200 and then 250 and then 300 and then 325 an hour. And it went from being 1 to 2 a week to 4 to 5 to 8 to
Mm-hmm.
10 to being fully booked a month in advance. And then when I ended all that, I was charging like $500 an hour. And that to me, I was like, this is exactly what I've always dreamed of, right? Like this is a lot of money. I don't have to worry about money as much anymore. And I had my salary. But then I really quickly realized the hard way that I had no more time.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, sure, I was making like a decent amount of money from consultations and from YouTube and from like other like affiliates and all that stuff. But I had no time to spend with my wife and my kids. And like, that's like, to me, I was like, what I'm making money, but at what cost, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so that to me was one of those big moments that I was like, okay, money's no good if I live in the middle of Tennessee, really can't even spend it. There aren't like stores that I can go to. But B, I don't even get to enjoy the amenities and the luxuries that it could afford me with my family because I'm in this office all the time.
Yeah.
And so that was like one of the really big decisions for me. So if you're thinking about quitting your 9 to 5 job, do it, but it's like not necessarily rainbows and butterflies. Like the video that I'm going to release is like, you know, it is a real video. Like, look, it's great, but you really have to consider that when you leave your 9 to 5 job, there are some implications and you have to be ready for it, even if you are financially ready for it. But I want that for you. I want that for
Mm-hmm.
people. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
it's such an exciting thing. I've learned so much about myself as a result, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur. And honestly, as I always say, I'm legitimately just honored that I get to make a living making goofy, funny videos on YouTube with programs that teach people how to start Airbnb businesses. And like to me, it just doesn't get cooler than that.
It's so good, man. So the threshold for you really was a couple of things. I'm so glad we're having this honest conversation about this, because I think the headline of quit your job, or quit your 9 to 5 and make a 6-figure income on your side hustle. It's like, okay, and you said a couple things. One, the leaving of the security of not just the salary but the benefits and the structure and those types of things. That was a big thing. But then the time. And I think as people start to see, Signal Fire just released their latest report that content creation is the fastest growing small business type right now. What we're doing is the fastest growing small business type. And I think it has so much unsecure things about it because you're stepping into this new world of entrepreneurship. So if you have a 9 to 5, you're going from W-2 into 1099. Now, I don't want to go down this road because neither Rob or Heather are tax experts.
Hey,
We like
or
True Books.
legal
Yeah.
experts either.
Or legal expertise. True Books is who we use. We like them, and so we have someone on our team that is helping with that. I don't want to go into it too much, Rob, but it is those two things, the time and the security. So I want to shift focus real quick, because now that you've quit your 9 to 5, you're making your own schedule as an entrepreneur. You're making more money than you've ever made, and your potential is only to increase from here because of the opportunities that YouTube has provided. Let's go to break down a couple of the different revenue streams. And really, all of these stem from the influence and the personal brand that you're building off of your YouTube channel.
Totally. Yeah, I would love to. So, for me, just like and thankfully, actually, funny enough, in 2020, that's when I started my consultation business, and I made $25,000 just by kind of casually doing these consultations on the side. And I say thankfully because the merchant. So, for those of you that don't know, when you become 1099, you can't necessarily use that as your income if you're trying to qualify for a house or any kind of loan investment type of thing. And that's a very troubling thing for someone that's like a real estate like I make my money off of real estate investments. And so you really need that 1099 income for 2 years on your taxes before a bank says, okay, yeah, this makes, we believe you, you make money. Here's your house. It's very, very tough. So thankfully I had started my consultation service in 2020, which is Stripe, the merchant, the credit merchant. And so that's on my taxes. Stripe paid me. But really, when it's all ramping up for me here in 2021, it's the same merchant that really pays me. And so I'll be able to average out both years and use that as income for myself. So I'm getting through the 1099 hurdle, and there are things that I'm going to have to do from a tax perspective, from a filing standpoint, that I'll have to change up. But here's kind of how things really shifted for me and changed and evolved and all that stuff. So as of today, I'll look it up here, but in my first year as a YouTuber, from June 6th to June 6th, 2020, 2021, I made $40,000 on YouTube, which to
Awesome.
me was I was like, let's go. I was so excited. I mean, obviously one would want more, but for me, I was like, come on, this is I really can't complain about that at all. It's
For
amazing.
year one, Rob, for year one, imagine you're 5 and 10. Okay, that was number one. Okay, keep going. I get
So
excited.
that was I got really, it was crazy because my first month. All right. So I always say this, my first goal on YouTube, I wanted to have 1,000 subscribers, and I hit 1,000 subscribers on June 6th. Oh, no, sorry, June 18th. And I hit the 4,000 watch hour that day or the next day. And so I was like, oh my God, that's so cool. And I was so excited. And then I got monetized, and I was like, all right, I'm ready for $8, $8 a month. That's one Chipotle burrito. And on July 20th or something like that, just under a month later, somewhere around there, YouTube made me a creator on the rise. And that they basically featured me on their homepage for a day. And that was a life-changing day for me. But on that day, I made $1,400, and that was crazy on AdSense. But for that first month that I was monetized, I made $6,700 on YouTube, and I was like, oh my gosh. And I remember it was $400 a day a couple days in a row. And I remember texting my friends, I'm like, I can quit my job, I can do it, I'm making $400 a day. Well, that's not how the YouTube algorithm works. You don't make that every single day, and in fact, most of the days you don't, right? So there are some learnings there with the YouTube AdSense. But fast forward to today, I mean, really, that was like my pinnacle. And then I basically went down to $2,000 to $3,000 a month for a long time, and 3 to 4, and then 4 to 5. And then I was consistently making $5,000 a month for like the last 6 months or so. But this last month in August was my biggest month ever. I made, I think, $8,400 in August. I got like 12,000 subscribers. There were a few things that happened for me that really caused that catastrophic change from like 8,400 to like 5,000. I was on the Bigger Pockets podcast. I was on PBS, like I did a mini doc with them, and a few other little cool things that happened all in the same month. So I don't know what I'm going to make now, but it does look like my average is going to be about $7,000 a month. So about $84,000 a year is what I think I'm going to make on YouTube. We'll call it 75. It'll probably be somewhere around there. But that's just one part of it. That is the very beginning of where my income really comes from. I'm also a guy that teaches about Airbnb and how to start an Airbnb business, right? And so because of that, anytime that I'm ever like, hey, if you learned something from this video, if you want to be a host, sign up with my link down below, and I'll be their ambassador. And Airbnb actually pays me a commission just on that. It's like it's a very, very good commission. But just in the last 6 months, roughly speaking, I think I've made about $80,000. I've made $79,948 on Airbnb affiliate commissions. Like in the
Amazing.
last like 90% of that has been in the last 6 months.
Amazing.
So now we're at like 150 just in those two buckets right there. But I also have brand deals too. And so like in my first I guess like I really think like things start to change like once you hit about 50,000. That's where like a lot of my brand deals started coming in. But in that first year of monetization, I made about $25,000 off of brand deals. So right there, I'm at $100,000 just on YouTube income between like what I probably will make with brand sponsors and all that. And that's really my first go at brand sponsors. I imagine this year I'll probably make like 50,000 on brand sponsors because I'm just growing at a much larger rate now. So really, again, this is just surface level. I had my consultation business. I shut that down, even though, it was up to $500 an hour. And, a lot of people are like, dude, are you dumb? And I was like, well, it's impossible for me to scale up at that point. And so I decided to start a program where I taught people how to start a glamping business. And I also just launched a program where I teach people how to start an Airbnb business. And it's a 6-week all-intensive program. I have like 80 videos. They're all edited in the Raw Built style, so like kind of fun and quirky. And I also have weekly live coaching calls. I bring in guest speakers. I mean, it's like a full-on thing. And just from those two programs, like from the two launches that I've had, I'll probably be at like $1.1 million just from that. And then that's like where I'm at now. By the end of the year, after like kind of launching more evergreen programs and stuff like that, I predict that, before December, I should be at about like $1.4 million just from the educational content that I put out there. So between educational and like YouTube, I have like 1.5 or so. And honestly, I have this math out somewhere else, but around here. And then I also have my Airbnb business that gets a little bit of a bump from YouTube as well, because like a lot of people want to stay at my tiny houses and stuff like that. I make about $25,000 a month from that as well. So I guess that comes out to like $300K a year that I make off of Airbnb. So when you put it all together, 365 days from now, I should be at like a I don't know. This is kind of weird to say out loud, honestly, like 1.5 to 1.8. I'll be somewhere there, million from an income standpoint. And I could not have done that without quitting my full-time job. And that's the crazy thing. I do want to reiterate, that's not necessarily going to happen to everybody. I've just been incredibly lucky. And, I'm like,
worked hard. You worked hard, Rob. You worked hard. Yeah.
I did. It's like luck and hard work. They really, they have to be there together. I feel like, it's like, for me, I always say it's like 90% talent. No, 90% luck, 10% talent. And then it flip flops to like 90% talent and 10% luck. I don't know if I really believe that anymore. That used to be like my go-to, because now it is hard work. Like now it is 100-hour weeks. I'm not doing that anymore. Now I'm like probably to 60 hours, but I'm really I'm trying to get it down to like 30 hours a week if I can. And it was hard to get here.
Mhm.
Like, it wasn't hard. It was hard work to get here. What I do is not complicated. It is not engineering. It's not rocket science, but it is hard work. And I do have to work my butt off to do this and to make content and to create programs. Like when I created my Airbnb program, I mean, I was recording legitimately from like 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. for like a month straight. Like I would be bummed because like my business partner and my wife would watch movies. Like my kids were, like, well, actually my kids were asleep, but sometimes they'd be up. But like if I have a lot of people come in and out of my house all the time, just because like, the nature of how close we are with their friends, and they all get to watch TV and hang out. And I don't. And
Yeah.
it bums me out sometimes because like it's 11 and I just want to go like play Mario Golf with like, my wife or whatever, but I have to like record. And so it is hard work, but I'm so grateful to even be able to put in the hard work and get the output that I get.
So good. Yeah. So a couple things. And if you want to learn kind of how Rob was able to do that, we actually teach that inside of our Think Inner Circle. We have a 10-step program where we teach people how to do what you did. Rob, you said actually the biggest part was your course creation. And we actually teach YouTubers how to create courses inside of our Think Inner Circle. So if you want more info, you can go to thinkinnercircle.com. Just wanted to let people know that, Rob. But you are so talented and really, I'm grateful that you're just a YouTuber who took the leap, because holding back from that security, right? And holding on to that 40-hour-a-week job. Once you stepped out of that, wow, you went from $100,000 to over $1 million. Incredible to see. And this is just the beginning. So just as inspiration for those watching the show right now, I just want you to know that, all of this takes hard work. None of this happens overnight. Rob was building, actually physically building tiny homes and building us in the background, as well as creating content weekly that is amazing content. So if that's something that inspires you and you want to do that, my best advice, and Rob probably is the same, is you got to just put in the hours. You got to put in the work and you'll see the fruit of your labor. But it's just like planting a seed. You've got to plant the seed and it's going to take time. It's going to be under the soil. No one's going to see it. And then it starts to pop up and then it starts growing. And when Rob was able to quit his job and actually go full-time into YouTube and entrepreneurship is when he actually saw not just his income, but his whole lifestyle change. So Rob, so excited that you were on the show today. You can catch this 2-part series. If you did not watch the first part about his advice for new YouTubers, make sure you watch that. If you want more info about the Think Inner Circle, you can go to thinkinnercircle.com. And Rob, where can they follow you if they want to be a part of the Rob Built? Do you have a name for your tribe? We're still trying to figure this out too. We're at like 2 million. We don't have a name for our tribe, but do you have a name for your community, your fans?
Yeah, originally it was the Rob Builders, but now it's just the Rob Mob.
The Rob Mob. There you go. If you want to be a part of the Rob Mob, where can they find you?
Yeah, so they can obviously go to my YouTube channel, Rob Built, ROBUILT. I'm also on the gram, same thing, Rob Built there. And then, if you want to see me like, fumble and try to figure out like TikTok, you can also follow me there. It's Rob Builto. Same spelling, except I had to add an O because someone took Rob Built from me. So that's the fun part of being a YouTuber is now I have to like try to snag my username anytime any new platform is out there. So
yeah, that's the secret hack no one knows about. Like once you've already made an influence in some category, anytime a new platform comes out, just sign up with your name. So
yeah, exactly.
It. Awesome. Well, thank you for being a part of the show today, Rob. We'll catch you on the next episode.
Bye.
Are you ready to start or grow your YouTube channel? Do you feel stuck and need help connecting the dots? Join this free web class where you'll learn the step-by-step playbook for YouTube success. We've helped thousands of purpose-driven entrepreneurs just like you grow their influence with video. Register today for this exclusive training at thinkmasterclass.com.